Welcome back, my favorite game developers. I know this is a long video, but we do a lot of things. We learn a lot of nifty small tricks in here. So when we run the game, you'll notice that we have only the pistol right now and the weapons arm. We shoot the pistol, everything works fine. We have this shotgun on the ground. Ooh, what do you think will happen when we pick it up? So I hit it, I pick it up, there we go. We can see that I have a shotgun and we can see the bullet of that shotgun. We can't switch off anything. We can't switch between the pistol and the shotgun, but let's not worry about that. Everything will happen, everything will be fixed in due time. So let's not waste any more time with this big, long video and let's get started. Okay, so time to set up the way we pick up our weapons. So right now, the way we have our weapons is good enough. We are switching, we are doing everything, but this is not how we want our game to work. We don't want to just start off with all of our weapons and just switch between them. We want to have some kind of mechanic that allows us to have them or acquire them in some way. And one of those things is we can pick up our weapons at certain points in the level. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing that we are going to do is we're going to go into the Doom player and we're going to remove the weapons that we are not holding. So I'm going to remove the rifle. We'll need to open up the script. So remove the rifle, remove the pistol, and go back into our game. There we go. Now one thing that we need to make sure of is that we also remove them from the available weapons right here. So I'm going to remove these empty slots. Save that and let's see what we have in here. Okay, so as you can see, this is also something that we will need to change and I'll tell you why. Let's just get things out of the way. So currently we are setting the current gun at 1 and then setting the weapon UI, but 1 isn't available right here. So let's see what happens when we run our game. We should see that we have an error right here, and this error is argument out of range. If I double click in here, it takes me to the setting weapon. That means the current gun is out of range inside of the available weapons, and of course it is because we are setting the current gun to 1 while we only have 1 weapon. So the only index that we can access is 0. I could set this to 0 if I wanted, but then what happens is that every time we start the game, we have for example, the shotgun and the rifle is on while the current gun is different than, you get what I mean. So the index will be out of place, and this is something that we didn't take care of in the last video. So I'll show you what happens, even though this will take a bit of time to understand, but no worries. I want to make sure that everything is properly understood and why we're doing all of these things. So pistol, shotgun, rifle, apply the changes. For example, let's say I turn off the pistol and I turn off the rifle. So now what we should have is the shotgun as we begin. So I'm going to run this. So there we go. We have the shotgun shooting, but I have the pistol in the UI. If I click it again, then I have the shotgun, then I have the rifle. So as you can see, things are weird at the beginning. So instead of doing that, what we're going to do, we're going to remove this and we are going to create a for loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than the available weapons dot count because we are using lists, and I plus plus. And in here I'm going to check if the available weapon at the position I dot game object dot active in hierarchy, that means which weapon have we actually chosen to be available to the player, then we are going to set the current gun equal to I, and that way everything should be working perfectly fine. So if I go back in here, I have the shotgun, I run the game, the weapon should be correct right here. There we go, shotgun. Let's test it out on the rifle. So turn this off, run the game. So now we should have the rifle, and there we go, everything is working properly. And finally we test it on the pistol and remove the rifle, run that, and we should have the pistol. Okay, great, so everything is working good. Now I Took a bit of time to do this, no worries, but as long as this is out of the way, because it will be important when we start actually picking up weapons. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create the pickup object that we are going to interact with. And I've created these 3 sprites right here, and the difference between the regular sprites and of the guns and these ones is that I've added a bit of white layer around the guns so we can see them in the world. So I'm going to go into the sprites, right click in here, create a new folder, which is going to be the weapons pickup, hit enter, open this up, or we could have added it to the pickups, but no worries about that. Having more folders never hurt anybody. So as you can see, there is a white outline around the shotgun. So if I add it in here, set it on the player, and I'm just going to make all of these 32 and make them point. Apply the changes, there we go. So as you can see, the shotgun has this white outline around it so we can properly see it in the world. It wasn't that big of a deal whenever we were holding the weapon because we have the player as the background, but now we need to make sure that we can visibly and easily see the shotgun or any pistol and weapon. And if you don't like it, honestly, it took me like, I don't know, 1 hour to do this in Photoshop. I have no clue how good, how bad it is. Maybe some of you are cringing at the work, but personally, it was my best. Let's continue on. So what we're going to do in here is, let's keep this as the shotgun. We're going to add a component. Obviously, it's going to be the collider. So a box collider 2D. Let's see how big that is. And maybe we can increase the size a bit on the X and the Y, so we don't have to hit the weapon entirely to pick it up, so just a little bit, and have it as a trigger. We save that, and the next thing we're going to do obviously is some behavior. So I'm going to go into the scripts, go into the pickups, right click in here and create a new C# script, which is going to be the weapons pickup. Hit enter, weapons pickup, wait for it to compile, add it to the shotgun pickup, and let's open up the script and see what we're going to do in here. Okay, so the first thing that we need is we actually need to know which gun this is going to be. So the shotgun obviously will give us the shotgun gun. So I'm going to create a serialized field in here, which is going to be the weapon system of type weapon system. It is going to be the actual weapon that we are going to pick up. Save that. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to be able to pick this object up. And before we can actually add this object to the player, we want to make sure that he doesn't already have that object. So I don't want to be carrying around 10 shotguns. I only need a single shotgun to be available to me. So let me first of all lock this down. Let's go to the prefab, go to the weapons, and let's add the shotgun here as the weapon. So I hope you understood what I mean. I don't want to pick up a shotgun while I already have a shotgun. I want to pick up a shotgun only if it is not being held in my available weapons, and that is your challenge, to look through the player guns. So first of all, you'll need to create an on-trigger enter and check if we collided with a player. Obviously, we don't want our skeletons to be attacking us with shotguns. Then you'll need to create a variable inside the method to keep track of whether we found the weapon or not on the player. You'll need to go through all the guns the player is carrying and obviously check if we're carrying the gun you've picked up using the gun name. So we'll need the gun name, and to access the gun name and to access the available weapons, you'll need to create a couple of extra methods. So this is a big challenge, a very tough challenge, but I know you're up to the task. Take your time, play around, do mistakes, don't worry about it. I will be there to help you after you've tried so you don't lose anything. Pause the video right now and go do the challenge. Okay, welcome back. So the first thing that I'm going to do is remove the start and update, and I'm going to create the on trigger enter 2D. And here obviously we check if the collision.compare tag is the player, and now we can continue on. Now the next thing, And something about here, maybe we could have just immediately made all the pickups have a certain layer and make it only interact with the player layer. That would have been a bit smart, and maybe not have all of these if conditions every single time we want to use a pickup. So just a side hint, I forgot about it. Maybe you can do it on yourself. With that said, let's continue on. Next, what do we want? Well, obviously we want this Boolean variable that will say that gun on player, and this will be set to false. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is we'll need to create a for each loop that checks, and it's going to be checking for guns or weapons. So it's the weapon system, the weapon to check. And where are we looking for these? Well, we are looking for the available guns on the player, where is it? On the player controller. There we go, let's set it right here. So we are going to look through the available guns, but obviously, available weapons, but obviously it's a serialized field. We don't want to make it public and available to everyone. So what we'll do is down here, we're going to create, and there you can see the mistake that we've made. We're going to create a public list of type weapon system. So I hope you tried this, excuse me. And we're going to call it the get available weapons on player. There we go, that's a long name. And what we're going to do is simply return the available weapons. There we go. So now what we can do back in here, and because we can immediately access it from the collision, which we've collided with, dot get component, and because we already know it's the player, we can access the player controller, and from the player controller we can get the available weapons on the player. Great. So what we've done in here, we've created the get available weapons by having this simple return, which returns a list, and because it is a list, we can add it right here. So we're checking the weapons to check. Now, how are we going to know if the weapon is there? What we'll do is we're going to create an if condition, and in here we are going to check if the weapon that is in here dot the name of the weapon. So obviously if I go to the weapon system, if it's in here somewhere, the weapon system, we have the weapon's name, but again, it's a serialized field. So these are, okay, so we do have the get weapons name UI. Okay, no worries, that's all that we need. Yep, that's all that we need. So in here, we are going to check get weapons name on the weapons. Or no, actually, we don't need this. Get weapons name UI. And if it's equal to the weapon to check dot get weapon name UI, so maybe UI wasn't the perfect name in here for the method, maybe it's better to just call it the name because we are using it in a different way. We can double click, create RR, and just use the get weapon name. Hit enter, there we go. Now we've changed this all over, even in the weapon system. Down here you can see how cool is that. So Ctrl double R RR. So if it is there, that means that the weapon is already in the available weapons. So we're going to set the gun on player to true, and after we finish looking through all the available guns, we are going to, after this, check in here if the gun on player is not true. So that means that it's still false, we don't have the weapon on us. What we'll do is we're going to go ahead and instantiate the weapon on the collision.get component, and it's going to be the player controller. And why am I doing all of these steps? Well, because I want to actually make this weapon. If we go back in here, you can see that the weapon is actually a child of the weapon's arm. So we need to make, we can see right here that in instantiate, we can set the child. So we're going to do just that, and we need a reference to the weapons arm. So if I scroll up on here, you can see that we do have a weapons arm. So all we need to do is scroll down and again create a public. And what is it? It's a transform, I believe. Yes, it's a transform. So we'll need to create a public transform and get weapons arm, and we're simply going to return the weapons arm. There we go. So that was a hard challenge, I know, but I hoped you at least tried to get halfway through it. So get weapons, it's not showing up because it's a public transform get weapons arm. So player controller dot get weapon. Oh, so player bullet controller. Okay, so player controller get weapons arm, and there we go. We save that. We go back into our game and let's see how that works. So we have the pistol in hand, we have the shotgun on the ground. We pick up the shotgun, the weapon available on it, save that, run the game. And now when we get close to the shotgun, nothing happens, because if I double click in here, we can see that, okay. And other than that, in here we get to check. Okay, so welcome back. For some reason, I didn't change anything. I just run the game now and it seems to work. There we go, you can see that we've picked up 2 shotguns. Why is that? Well, obviously because of the 2 colliders that we have on us. And we also don't destroy this shotgun, but as you can see, we are still picking the shotgun up multiple times, even though we can look through this and see that we have the shotgun already on us. Now, so before we continue on, the first thing that we need to do is create the private boolean, just like we have in the health pickup. So we can just copy this, paste it in here, and set the pickup to true whenever we actually pick up the gun. So in here, set this immediately to true, and we also check if we haven't picked up the weapon yet. So as you know, this is because we have the 2 collider on us. So save that, back in our game. Let's see how that works now. We run the game, we have the shotgun. Oh, and we also need to destroy the weapon, excuse me. And after we do pick it up, if we do instantiate the weapon, where is it for each? So in here you can choose whether you want to destroy it in any case. I believe we should destroy it in any case. So even if we don't actually pick it up, it doesn't need to stay there. So I'm just going to destroy the object as soon as the player actually hits that object. So back in here, run the game, and there we go. We pick up the weapon and now we have the shotgun in our hand. But as you can see, the shotgun shoots and we can't switch the weapons on and off between the shotgun or the pistol. Why is that? Well, because we haven't actually added the shotgun right here into the available weapons. And that is something that we will need to fix in the next video. That is also the reason why we saw right here that we have multiple shotguns being picked up without the weapon being destroyed. That will be fixed in the next video, where we actually start adding the picked up weapon into the available weapon. So that said, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to commit your changes and I'll see you in the next one.